Hey everyone, today I'm going to do a different kind of video. I'm going to do sort of like a vlog of a day in the farm. I've got some other bits to do today, but I'm mainly going to be around the farm area, working on some bits, getting some projects done. So yeah, join me today for sort of a vlog style video, I guess, and just take you through some of the bits that I'm doing here. Okay, so this is the walkway up to the farm. You'll be familiar with this already. Here's the walkway down to our main driveway. It's a little bit overgrown, but that changes with the season and depending on how much work we want to put into keeping it clear. Now, this area here, you can see my almond tree just there, the only tree in the orchard. So this whole area here is sort of meant to be a wildflower meadow slash sort of fruit tree orchard. I planted probably about 2,000 flower seeds here, and I can't really tell if anything's come through. This year in England it's been very hot since about mid-March. We've pretty much had consistent sunshine, which is nice, but the farm is struggling, especially since this is its first year. So this is sort of the state of what we're dealing with. It's very dry. We've had to cut back this because the almond tree was being swallowed by other plants. Like this, for example. I believe this is Himalayan balsam, which is an invasive plant. And then we've got all this grass coming up, which someone's going to have to tell me whether that's a good thing or not, because in a woodland, obviously you don't want too much grass because it will become dominant. And we've got a lot of different grass species here. I'm not sure if it's very healthy for the woodland, so if anyone can leave a comment below, that would be really helpful. And we're going to build a fence around the farm, and we want this triangular corner here to be like a wildflower garden. Edible wildflowers preferably, like and herbs and things like lavender and rosemary. But we don't want anything invasive there. We want this to be a beautiful spot for pollinators and all sorts. I believe these are the bluebells, so they're fine. They're all dry now, and their seeds are all in their little pods. Considering how many wildflower seeds I've actually planted there, it's a little bit disappointing to see that there's nothing really come through. I mean, there is some St. John's wort right down there. It's in the shadow, you probably can't see it. Yeah, we have, however, just behind the camera here, we've got foxgloves growing in our farm, which is wonderful amidst all these other plants. This whole area is just dead. That's just a little bit of a scrap corner I've got to sort out. More grass overtaking the beans. I think I've missed picking the beans. Yeah, I can't see them in there. Our only successful crop so far, and I bloody missed them, is our little work in progress vegetable patch that I was trying to build a weaving fence around. And we do actually have potatoes in the ground here, and they all seem to be doing quite well. And then that's kind of the rest of the state of the farm around here. So yeah, we've got a lot to do. It can be quite frustrating because it's sort of like one step forward, two steps back, and it's difficult to notice the progress that we're making when we're constantly having to re-clear things, and we're not using any sort of chemicals or weed killers to keep undesirable plants at bay. It's all manual. We've got like a hedge cutter and a industrial petrol strimmer, but it's still not really enough to keep on top of it. They'll just come right back up. Like this whole area here was cleared last week, and it is still nice and clear because considering it was like that, it's still nice and clear. But the fence has been swallowed up, and when I got here today. Couldn't really get down my staircase because you got one step there, and then the rest of it's up there, all swallowed up. Something else that's really interesting here is in amongst all of these undesirable plants coming up in between. When I say undesirable, they're not all invasive. I just mean in a permaculture garden, you obviously don't want ferns and bracken and tall grasses dominating. What we want is a nice variety of ground cover, preferably quite short ground cover that doesn't mind being walked on. And what we've got in the middle there is loads of short grass and tall grass. Over in that corner it's dead. Over in the orchard on the other side of the greenhouse, like I said, it's all just out of control really, and then this is still kind of wild. But we just want something that we can walk on, and something that's going to provide benefit to pollinators and whatever else decides to come on our farm. We're not trying to go for a traditional, conventional farming method where we just, you know, destroy the land like we've sort of done over in that corner and then just plant what we want. We want to integrate our crops into the ecology of the woodland already. With all these plants around, I noticed one in particular that was quite unique, and that's this one here. I looked it up and I think it's ragwort. I first learned about ragwort from a wonderful book called Wilding by Isabella Tree. She is the owner of the Knepp estate in East Sussex, wherever it is. I think it's Grinstead or Horsham or something. You can actually visit the Knepp estate, although it is still obviously a private farm. They have a campsite there, they have a restaurant. It's a really beautiful place. My girlfriend and I went back in April, which was the time to hear all the songbirds in the morning chorus. So for the first time in my life, I heard cuckoos singing, I heard nightingales, I saw a nightingale, I heard turtle doves, and I saw the nesting storks at Knepp. Really beautiful place. But in her book Wilding, where she describes the whole journey of rewilding their farm, their estate, from arable dairy farm to this beautiful, basically English wilderness, which is just, a glimpse at what the British Isles might have looked like thousands of years ago before large-scale agriculture and, cities and large human settlements. So anyway, without keep going off track, in her book Wilding, Isabella Tree talks about a plant called ragwort. And she says how ragwort has got this very bad reputation as a weed, and how all her neighbours, the other farmers around, were complaining a lot about her letting ragwort grow on their land because they thought it would spread to their land and invade and destroy their crops and whatnot. She did sort of make an argument that it's not as invasive as people tend to make it out to be. But when I saw this plant down here, and I looked it up, I discovered that it is a form of ragwort. So I'm not entirely sure if it's got any real ecological value to it. I'm sure it probably does. I can see tiny little flowers poking out on top, so it's probably great for pollinators. Yeah, so I'm going to protect it for now. If it starts to dominate, like apparently it has a reputation to, then I will confine it to a smaller area. But I'm not going to remove it completely because we want to encourage as many native flora to grow here as possible. Just not things like all the ferns and everything else. Another plant we had growing here was called Comfrey, which is a native wildflower. We got it from a gardener who was doing a gardening class that we went to, and he was telling us all about Comfrey and its medicinal benefits, but apparently it's illegal to it's either illegal to pick or to grow. I cannot find any comfrey seeds no matter where I go. I can buy them online, but in garden centres they just don't seem to sell comfrey. But this gardener whose class we went to, his name was Alan, he's very lovely. He was telling us all about these sort of hidden medicinal benefits to comfrey. So he gave us a little bit of root and we planted the root in the soil, and lo and behold, this was last spring. Within a month it was up, it was flowering, it was very beautiful. Went away in the winter and it hasn't come back yet. I will definitely replant some, probably in the wildflower orchard this time. But yeah, just from one tiny piece of root, this whole plant came up. And apparently it's because comfrey is such like a vital plant. I guess that's probably where some of its medicinal benefits come from as well. Now we're in the greenhouse, might as well talk about what's going on in here. I'm currently trying to restore this axe here. This is the axe I restored in some of my previous videos, especially my YouTube shorts. Go check them out. This is a lot bigger than this one that I'm trying to restore. I think it's older too. I'm just trying to get the old handle out, the old wedge. And of course, we've still got the table. Built it about a month ago now. It's a bit of a mess. But the thing is, we're doing so much here, and we are actually, and we are actually trying to clean up the woodland. There's a lot of junk and litter left on the land over the years. It does look a bit of a mess in here. This half is more like a shed than a greenhouse, and over here we've got our tomatoes growing. We've got potatoes, sweet potatoes, Cavolo Nero, which is a form of kale. These are all the potatoes here. But there's some sweet peppers back there. Some of them died, so there's only one there, and there's 3 down there. And then this is our sweet potato down here. And 4 tomato plants. We've got 3 vines and 1 bush, because they're different forms of tomatoes. I give up that. Can't get it out today. I'll probably bring it home with me and then try it at home. So more about the farm. Let's just do like a farm vlog. So this is a work in progress gate that is going to lead up the steps and up to my camp area, which is just in the trees up there. If you saw one of my previous videos, then you'll have seen the map of the farm. So just to give you more of a 3D idea of everything, there's the farm. This is the border of the farm here. And as you can see, it goes along there. And then obviously the border's down there. The fence post comes in line with here. This is going to be the veg patch. All of this is going to be veg. I want a shed down there one day. Compost is there, but I might move it here because it stinks next to the greenhouse. So it's slow, but it's getting there. This is going to be sort of like a water storage, water capture system. very fancy words for a bit of sheet metal and an old tub balancing on each other, but that's basically what we're aiming for. Obviously the rainwater should land on there, roll down there, and hopefully fill up in there, and there's a little tap on the bottom there that we can then fill our water buckets up with. You know, it's just basically in its R&D phase at the moment. And then, like I said, I also want to move the compost. Actually, let's check on the compost while we're here. Let's check on the compost together. Let's have a look. What's going on in here? This was a storage crate for shop display that I opened this up. Get out of the way. Well, it's very dry. There we go. That looks like compost to me. Interesting. Maybe something is working after all. But if we go through here, so I'm in the corner of the farm here, this is probably an area that you'll recognise from other videos. This is Badger Valley, as I like to call it. So here's some of the cherry laurel, and then we come out into this little clearing here. This is where all the cherry laurel is, right next to the chicken coop. So that tree there is in the chicken coop. And then this is sort of where we've been piling up a lot of the cherry laurel that we've cut down already. I was using it as fence posts until I found out that it's full of cyanide. So probably not the ideal thing that you want leaking into your soil. Would you look at that? Don't know what that is. Sort of looks a bit like a shotgun shell to me, but it very well could be a shotgun shell. Or just a bullet of some kind, I don't know, but it is quite a strange shape. But it does certainly look like, especially with the thing at the bottom there. Interesting. Upon later inspection, I've just seen that the cartridge actually has some old ink on it. There's a small symbol there that says ELEY, I'm assuming that's the brand name. Then it says Grand Pro, just there, 7 2.4mm made in England. So with that on there, I'm assuming this is obviously some kind of bullet or shotgun cartridge. For whatever reason, there's quite a bit of rubbish on the land, and so you'll occasionally find something like this. Even though I'm here all the time, pretty much every week, you'll just come across like an old glass bottle or something one day, and it's in a spot that I pass every week, and I wouldn't have seen it before because the ground is constantly changing, especially with the seasons. In the autumn everything gets covered, in the summer everything overgrows. So yeah, if you saw one of my previous videos where I did the interactive map, sort of a tour of the woodland, then this just gives you a bit of a better idea of how close everything is together, how large the landscape is. So anyway, I know I said this was going to be like a vlog of my work. The truth is though, it's 36 degrees inside the polytunnel today. It's about 25 outside, and I've only got one bottle of water with me, so I'm not massively in a mood to be doing lots of work outside. Another little tour of the farm. I'll definitely try to make my videos more valuable and worth your time in the future. But today, I'm hot, I'm tired, and what the size of this feather? I'm fairly certain I've seen an American bald eagle fly over this clearing right here before. Now I'm assuming there must be some kind of falconry or bird sanctuary or something around in the local area. Not even local. I know there's one about 25 miles away, And if that is a bald eagle that I saw, an American bald eagle, I'm sure they can fly that distance, no problem. But I have seen it here a few times, so I'm just wondering, does it like come in here for whatever reason? And is this one of its feathers? So after a quick Google search, I believe this might be the tail feather of an American bald eagle. Like I said, I have definitely seen a massive bird of prey, definitely not a native British bird of prey, flying right overhead in this clearing here and heading off over that way to the southern side of the woodland. I saw that last year, and I think I've seen it twice, from if I can remember correctly, but this I've just found on the soil there, and I mean, I don't know how to really show you the size. Let me put it next to my foot. Okay, bear in mind I have size 14 feet, so you can see that is pretty much a size 12 feather. So it's definitely not a seagull feather or something like that. I don't think it's an owl feather, and I've just looked it up and it does seem to resemble a bald eagle's tail feather, so that's interesting. Probably quite a useful trinket. Now, if I learned anything from playing Red Dead Redemption 2 quite a lot during COVID, it was that eagle feathers are definitely lucky trinkets, so I'll be keeping hold of this and, I don't know, maybe make something cool with it one day. But what a find in a native British woodland like this, to just stumble across a bald eagle feather on the ground. Right here, right there, right next to my farm. I wonder if it landed. That would be interesting. Or if it saw a mouse or a rat or something and swooped down to get it. Or if it was just flying overhead again and this just fell down, like Forrest Gump moment. But like I said, I'll definitely do something with that because, yeah, how cool is that? So I do believe there must be some kind of falconry or, you know, bird sanctuary and like a wildlife centre somewhere nearby. But I do know there is a bird sanctuary about 25, maybe 30 miles from here. And, you know, I mean, I'm not a bird expert, but 25 miles doesn't seem too much of a stretch for a bald eagle to fly to me. So maybe this is just part of its daily fly around. And wildlife photography is actually one of my hobbies, so if I am ever down here with my camera and I see a glimpse of that eagle flying overhead, I would definitely try to get a cool picture. So, I mean, to spot a bald eagle sitting on a tree in my woodland, I mean, how cool would that be? And we have got all these, I think they're Douglas firs. So there's 2 back there, there's 12 that I know of in the land. There's this one here, right on the corner of the farm. There's another one there. I think they're American Douglas firs. But who knows, maybe if there is a bald eagle around, then perhaps the reason it comes over here quite often is because, you know, maybe it finds some kind of familiarity in the Douglas firs, if they are Douglas firs, a tree from West North America and Canada. And the Douglas firs just seem to offer that that vantage point for the eagle. So yeah, if I've got it wrong, let me know in the comments below. But as far as I'm concerned, I think this is a bald eagle feather. I mean, it's huge. It's not a pigeon feather, that's for sure. What a find. How cool is that? So anyway, yeah, thank you everyone for watching this impromptu video. If anything, this is just an exercise in me editing to try to make something out of me just talking and walking. Cool, we found this though, whatever it is, to whatever it belongs. And yeah, keep an eye out on the channel if you're watching this for some videos about the cherry laurels and building things in the farm. Building a fence is something I've really got to do. Anyway, yeah, thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you on the next video at the Wellstead.